Okay, let's check the last two questions. Um, find the interval of convergence of the following series. If you want to find the interval of convergence, you need to use the formula here for the radius of the interval. That is given by the absolute value of the an divided by n plus 1, the limit of the an over n plus 1, and then take the absolute value. Well, here I have to point out that an is not the general term in the series. Instead, it's the coefficient of the x minus 1 to the power of n. So in this case, it has to be equal to negative 1 to the n divided by root n. Negative 1 to the n divided by root n. You should not include the power of x minus 1. Once you found this r, then remember C here is the center of this the power series, which is a 1. Okay, so the interval of convergence is at least an open interval from C minus R to C plus R. Be careful, the endpoints C minus R and C plus R might be included. We have to check that. And that is the whole point of this question. Okay, so let's see how to solve the problem 1. First, figure out what an is. So n plus 1 is negative 1 to n plus 1 over square root of n plus 1. So you can use this formula to find this radius. That's the limit of the absolute value of an over n plus 1. It's very simple. You can do the calculation. You will be able to find it. It's equal to 1. Okay, so and the center is 1. So basically, the interval here would be 1 minus 1, which is 0, to 1 plus 1, which is 2. It's an open interval 0 to 2. Now let's check if the boundary points 0 and 2 are included. When x equals 0, the series becomes sigma n equals 1 to infinity, negative 1 to the n, times, remember here x is equal to 0, so it's 0 minus 1 is negative 1 to the n. Divided by root n. Now, negative 1 to the n times negative 1 to the n, you have 1. So the series becomes the sum of 1 over root n. This is definitely divergent because it's a p series, and p is equal to negative 1/2, which is greater than negative 1. Diverges. So x equals 0, not included. Check the other point. When x equals 2, Okay, so c is equal to 1, r is equal to 1, c plus r is 2. That's how I found 2. When x is equal to 2, the series becomes, please don't put dots when you are writing your answer. This becomes the sum of -1 to n times, alright, check this. X is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it's 1 to the power of n. It's again 1. Now, you see that this is an alternating series. The absolute value of the general term, which is 1 over root n, decreases to 0. So we know that this converges. So x equals 2 should be included. Finally, you can write down the interval of convergence. Hence, the interval of convergence is 0 to 2. This bracket means 2 is included. Here's the parenthesis, so 0 is not included. For the second one, it's similar. Okay, an is -1 to n minus 1 times 1 over square root of n plus 1. An plus 1 is -1 to n times 1 over square root of n plus 2. R is equal to the limit of absolute value of an over an plus 1. Is also equal to 1. In this case, c is equal to -1. So the interval should be -1 minus 1, which is -2, -1 plus 1, which is 0. So it's -2 to 0. Let's check the boundary points. When x is equal to -2, the series becomes sigma n goes to 1 to from 1 to infinity, -1 to n minus 1 times okay, x is -2, so -2 plus 1 is -1. So that's a -1 to the power of n. Divided by square root of n plus 1. Now what is this? -1 to the n minus 1 times -1 to the n. It's always -1. So it becomes negative 1 over square root of n plus 1. This diverges because this sum is basically a p-series when p is equal to -1/2. you might notice that this p-series starts with 1 over root 2. It's not from, it doesn't start from 1 over root 1. And that will not change the fact that it diverges. So it is divergent. Okay, so that tells you x equals -2 is not included. Now, similarly, we check x equals 0, and the series becomes when x is 0, and x plus 1 is just 1. 1 to the n is again 1. So here is just 1 over root n plus 1. This is our alternating series. The absolute value of the general term, which is 1 over root n plus 1, it decreases, and it has a limit 0. So we know that this is convergent. So x equals 0 should be included. And that tells you the interval of convergence. Is -2 to 0. Again, a -2 is not included, 0 is included. Okay, good luck.